Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Max Frequency Podcast. I'm your host, Max Roberts, and I'm joined this time by the other half of my life in gaming, Coury Carlson. Hello, Coury. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's funny because usually when we're on podcasts, it's like usually both of us at the same time.
That was an original idea I had, was to try and do both of you at the same time, because I haven't done that yet on this show. But then I was like, no, I want to talk to them both. have one-on-ones. It's it's a huge honor. Like I told Try, I've been watching you guys for 9 years now, and a happy early 10th anniversary. That's only a few days away for you guys. That's huge.
Yeah, it's kind of surreal to think that we've been doing it for this long. Mm-hmm. I feel like the last 5 years have felt like have gone a lot quicker. Maybe it's because like there's been so many different changes and life changes and stuff in the last 5 years, as opposed to that first. And also like the number of videos that have come out in the last 5 years is much less than those first 5 years.
I think, but I would say the quality and scope of them have also greatly increased in that time. You've got some
expanded to an unsustainable level. I think so. Sometimes,
What was how long was the Mr. episode? Like 2.5 hours or so? It was a movie. You guys made a feature-length film.
2 hours and 40 minutes. Yeah. But I mean, you look at that, and that was in the works, like off and on for over a year. So it took a long time to get to that point. I mean, it's such a weird thing because I would like to, make things shorter and more concise, but at the same time, I think that I have like these certain points that I need to hit so that people don't think like, oh, these guys are just phoning it in now.
My gosh.
It's like such a weird feeling, I guess. It's such a challenge.
I would doubt anyone who would watch My Life in Gaming and think at all that you guys are phoning it in. I mean, you guys just, as we're recording this, you guys just put up another episode about accessories. So I watched that before the show. Had to fit it in. See if there's any scoops or anything in there. What kind of new gear are the guys playing with? I actually started trying to look at that Bluetooth receiver stuff you had.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's something I feel like I might want to do a full video on in the future. And I think that that's something I need to just accept that, we try to put as many different things in a video as we can, but I think it's okay just to have like a shorter video focused on one subject or like one aspect of it. It's just, and I say this kind of thing over and over again because I would love nothing more than to feel okay doing that, where it's just, I'm okay just, letting something be what it is. But, it's like, I feel like I need to hit like this, at least time amount, or else like people are going to be disappointed. Although, I think as now, like we're kind of getting into, like we hope to get back into like a groove where we're both like regularly coming out with videos, that I think it's okay to do these shorter videos because I think that for a while there, I was feeling like, everything's got to be like a certain length or something like that because that people don't know when they're going to get the next one. And because there was a point where we were releasing like either every week or every other week for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's just like as more things like have, but when we're both like, rolling on something, then it makes it a lot easier. But it's just like juggling different things, like Try's had like a ton of freelance work last couple, like year and a half or so. And like other work and has just been, like pretty insane. So I felt like, like I'm doing certain videos. It's like I need to make it at least so that it's like good enough because people won't say like, I waited this long for a video and like this is what it is now. It's like I don't even care. I'm just gonna like stop watching. So I don't know. Like it's a weird thing, but I think that if we're both releasing episodes or working on episodes together, regularly again, then I'll be okay with just being like, all right, I'm just gonna let this be what it is.
I mean, I think looking at some of your more recent videos here, I've noticed that you've been putting up, I would say shorter, at least shorter for My Life in Gaming videos, like the Abernick 353M, you know, the little emulation thing, your ROM hacks part 2, those glasses, those XR glasses were a really fun episode.
And that was like...
that was cool.
Which was like not even something I wanted to, like, they seemed cool and then they end up being like less cool, like the more I used them. So I don't know.
I thought it was a creative angle, though.
Super excited.
Can you make a portable mister? You know, I think that is a creative angle.
Right.
And then
well, that was the thing that I felt like most excited about, because in something that I felt like our audience would be most interested in when it comes to them. So
yeah, I like them. I think they're all really cool. And then you've got your, you know, normal stuff like an hour-long video on the LG C2 or your 2-hour 40-minute Mister video. And then of course your, you know, year-end stuff. I like the range of lengths of videos that you guys do, because as a viewer, when it is the 15-minute or the 20-minute video, it's like, this is really nice. This is a digestible thing, generally about one topic that I think you can spend that time really well digging into the one thing instead of trying to explore a range of a topic, which then kind of balloons out, you know?
Yes.
But then sometimes it's that long video that's just like, now I get to sit down. So I really like it, because either way I'm getting what I've subscribed for, come here for, which is you guys digging into retro gaming and accessories and topics and things like that. And I think, I mean, you guys have shaped, I think, not only a lot of stuff that I have now, but I think, you know, tons of people's retro setups have been inspired by what you guys do and have educated a lot of people on. I mean, there's a lot of stuff over here that is your fault, frankly.
And that's always like, it's always surreal to hear, I guess, you know, like you see that kind of thing in the comments, but it's hard to make that connection, I guess, unless you're like seeing it for real, you know?
Yeah. Well, there's like the latest edition is an Extron Crosspoint. So they finally have a switch to go into the Tink. So, you know, and that one, I think you might appreciate this. I found it on a site, I think is called Reverb or something, like selling audio equipment specifically.
Oh, yeah.
And the picture was of the unit, just the unit. So no cables, nothing. But I confirmed that cable was with it, and it was all there. So I bought it for $40, which I think is pretty decent these days for a Crosspoint. It's an 8.4, so it's not a lot, but it meets my needs.
Right.
It shows up in an Extron Crosspoint box with the original manuals and cables and floppy disk for the software, all sealed.
Wow.
So it's never been used. The power cable was sealed. Yeah. It's basically
crazy.
brand new.
That's extremely lucky.
Yeah. But you couldn't tell that from the pictures.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably just a stock photo even that they just found somebody else's photo, you know?
It was crazy.
That's a good deal.
It was
a good deal. And it's always really exciting when things like something unexpected like that happens.
Yeah, you get a nice.
Like you were just excited about the price and all the rest of it.
That's exactly what I was excited
like a bonus,
about.
Right?
Yeah, I needed a way to hook everything up. I was tired of hot swapping component cables. It was getting out of control. You know the struggle.
Yep.
I think we're going to talk about the struggle. I've watched a lot of videos lately, and you have had at least quite the cable situation in the attic.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it's still quite a cable situation where I'm at now, but it's more hidden from sight.
I was going to say, I can't see a single cable. It's pretty clean in there. But before we talk about your setups over the years and stuff, because you are getting ready to put out a tour of your studio and game room and stuff. Before we talk about that, I kind of wanted to retread a little bit of what I talked about with Try. I wanted to get your perspective on things.
Okay.
It sounds like that you guys met through the Backloggery, and Try was kind of one of the founding people behind it, and you were a user, correct? Right. And you met through the site?
Exactly. You know, I discovered that site at pretty much the perfect time in my life. I was out of games for a couple of years because, you know, like growing up, like I always play games. And when I moved to New York City, I was just like really, really focused on like achieving a career, which was like in post-production video editing.
Mm-hmm.
And I got an internship in New York, moved from Western New York, town called Jamestown. I moved to New York, got an internship where I answered phones for 3 months. And then I got to take all kinds of classes. It was like a post-production training facility. And, I went to school for video editing and stuff. But the program that I used, like, stopped being used basically right after I finished school.
Oh, my gosh. So
I got this internship, answered phones, and I didn't play games for a long time. I want to say probably, that's not entirely true because there were certain games that came out that I did play, such as Metal Gear Solid 3, Halo 2,
sure.
Stuff that I knew that I wanted to play desperately. But the thing is, I moved to New York and I was basically subletting a room, and I just was living out of 2 suitcases. So I could, when I first moved there, I only brought my my Game Boy Advance. So I didn't have anything to play, and I eventually had my GameCube shipped out when Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes came out. Then PS2 came out, or Metal Gear Solid 3 came out, and I was visiting my mom back home and brought PS2 with me. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't really play any games for many years, and I think that I was kind of burned out just in general because I grew up playing games, and then all throughout college I worked at Electronics Boutique, selling games, and I did video for a website called thenextlevel.com, and I was editing trailer videos and stuff before it was even a normal thing to do. There was no YouTube or anything. I was exporting 320 by 240 video files out where people could download them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing that as well. So I just think I had video games in too many parts of my life.
Yeah.
For a while, and I just needed to check out and just focus on career. I'd recently gone through a bad breakup, so I was just kind of, in a way, living in New York, doing this internship and just going out. I didn't know anybody, so I just was going out a bunch and just meeting different people, really, really pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I think at the time, and I just didn't play any games. And then I met my wife. We dated for a long time. Then when we got engaged and then we're about to get married, I was okay, maybe I'll kind of look into seeing what's going on with games a little bit more. And I had recently played Gears of War, the first one, at a friend's house. I'm I'm going to get an Xbox 360. And that kind of opened up this whole thing, and I started playing more games and eventually got a Wii and got Super Mario Galaxy, and that was the game that kind of brought me back to this is so awesome. I just want to play more games.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right around this time that I discovered the backloggery. Because, when I was playing a bunch of games before, I was just buying stuff and never playing it. And what I really connected with on the backloggery was buying, playing the games that you have. I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that could talk about how, I played this RPG and I got to the last dungeon and I quit. I stopped playing it. Never went back to it. And what I liked about the backloggery is that it was start or finish the games that you start. And it's a lot of self-discipline also, but it was just the community around that. And celebrating the I finished this game. It was just a good community, and I think that I was on the upper end of the age scale on the website. But that's fine. It was just it was encouraging, people to play the games that they bought, and so Try and Drumble were streaming on Justin.tv at the time. And
wow, that's a deep cut.
Yeah. They were streaming before Twitch was a thing. They were doing it was, I think that it was Monday night and Wednesday night. They'd each get a different night to stream. And just hanging out in those streams, I would get to know more people in the community. And there was one night where Try was like late to the stream. And he's like, oh, I had to like film this thing. And I'm like, oh, he's like in the video production. So, you know, like there wasn't a lot of people watching, but a decent amount. I mean, a decent amount is probably like under 50. So like if you're just in the chat talking, like people are going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I started like asking about like certain production things, and then we started like just talking and then like DMing through the site and became friends that way because like we both had these, you know, video production backgrounds. I was like, at the time I was freelancing for years, like after I finished that internship. And then I had got a staff job at a post-production house. So, I mean, I had like a job that I was like making normal money. And I was like, oh, I can like buy something. Like maybe I should like buy this upscaler called the Framemeister, because like, look, like we saw these pictures of it and like how could this even be real? You know?
Yeah.
So I like imported it. It was like $600 or something like that.
Which is, I mean, that's a lot of money.
It is. And especially like then, you know, it seemed like, you know, this thing better be good because I don't think I can return it. And that really just, we spent like the next year, like figuring out how can we capture this and have it look good? Because I mean, at the time I wasn't, doing anything. I just wanted to like figure out how to do this. But Try was like, I want to figure out how to capture this stuff because I'm streaming it. And I want to make it look better if I can. And, you know, like that was just, we did all these different tests and everything. And then at my job, at this post house, I mean, I worked on a lot of like neat things, but also like a lot of the stuff I was doing more and more were these, like medical approval videos, and it was just like real depressing, like cutting up these interviews with people with like metastatic breast cancer and all kinds of other stuff, just real depressing stuff. And I'm like, man, I need to have some sort of outlet for like creativity. So at the time I was like, well, I wonder, like I have a capture setup. I can edit stuff. Like maybe I'll just offer to edit video for different websites or YouTube channels, like it's just a side thing to do. So I applied for, like, one of the members on the backloggery, like ran a site, or several members like wrote for the site called like Snack Bar Games. And I'm like, you know, I'm just going to offer to edit video for them. Like I was like, I'll capture everything. You send me a voiceover and I'll edit it. So I was doing that a couple of times. And that was fine. You know, it was, you know, just, it was an outlet for me to get into this stuff. And then they said, you know, all of our different people on our team are saying like, you know, like what is like the game, like what is like the, your favorite game? And we're asking everybody like that, like does something for the site to do it like in their medium. And would you want to do like a video on your favorite game? So I was like, yeah, okay. I mean, that sounds like a lot of fun. So that was the first time I'm recording my voiceover and editing these things. And I got real into it, right? I edited this video on the first Phantasy Star. And I put all this work into it. Oh, no. And then I got like 8 views.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, this was really fun to do this. And if I'm going to put this much work into it, I'd rather have it be like on my terms. Like I just want to make and like put it out myself. You know, if people watch it, they do. And if not, then they don't. So when I created the channel, it was going to be called like My Life in Games. And I had this idea for like because at the time I was listening to podcasts, I was listening to This American Life a whole bunch. And I was listening to WTF with Mark Maron.
Okay.
Like, they were like the two podcasts I listened to the most, and Retronauts. And I'm like, well, you know, like I'm inspired by these. I would like to make something that feels like this. I would like how cool would it be to like interview like game creators? But it's like you can't get anybody to agree to be interviewed or like do something with video without like having any examples of work. So I was talking to Troy. I'm like, listen, I want to start this YouTube channel. Would you want to do this with me? And he's like, oh, yeah. That sounds like something that he had always wanted to do. But, you know, like the idea of just like kind of doing it by yourself, it's like, nah, like it sounds like a lot more work, I guess. Or it's very hard to keep yourself like on target, I guess. Yeah. You know, like you release that video, like who knows? Because I mean, I'm sure it happens to channels all the time where, you know, like they'll release something and then it's like, I got to do another one now. I got to do another one. And it's like really hard to keep up with that, right?
Yeah.
To keep that motivation going.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like early on, right? Like if there's not a lot of people watching, it's like, what is keeping your motivation going? Besides like a desire to want to do it. And I was like, okay, so like if we want to do this, like what are some ideas that if we want to like release a video every week, we could have like a handful of like really easy videos to do. And then we could have more in-depth things like my Fantasy Star video that I had done for this other site where it has like some motion graphics in it, you know, and it was, I don't know, it was just like more like tightly edited stuff because I feel like in like 2013 or something, there wasn't a lot of like really tightly edited content out there. There's still people just doing their own things, like maybe using like Movie Maker to string clips together, but it wasn't like edited by somebody who like literally does this for a living a lot of times.
Absolutely. I was using Movie Maker in those years. That's it, because that's what I had access to. And I was
exactly.
I don't know. Well, wait, maybe not in 2013. I would have been in high school then. But early years on YouTube, it was definitely Movie Maker. Like I did a Super Smash Brothers Brawl thing, and that's just essentially a slideshow.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the time, I didn't feel like there was like super tightly edited stuff. So I'm like, well, you know, we have this experience because Troy was working at a college, like the college that he went to is doing video for them and editing and stuff. So I'm like, we both have like professional backgrounds. So let's just like do something that is, you know, more tightly edited and has like a style to it. But on the other hand, we wanted something that we could just like make really easily. And I mean, I'm 44, so like I'm a little bit older than Troy is. You know, like I'm like 6 years older than he is. And so I'm playing like games like early on. Like I'm like 8 years old when the NES comes out, or when I have an NES. Or whatever, you know, like it came out in 85. It's like, so I'm 7. And I had like a Master System in 86. Didn't have an NES until 87. As my brother's. So we're like, I was like, you know, I used to go to, it's one of these department stores. I want to say it was like called Ames.
Okay.
And I was like, they have these videotapes that I used to love. I used to buy. They had like these video walkthroughs.
Yeah.
Of games, and I would be able to like I would buy one of these tapes for $10, and I would see the complete playthrough of like 6 games. You know, it's like a way to, you know, see these games in motion, I guess, without buying them or renting them or anything. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, man, I love them because they just like had like this feel to them, like, you know, like this old like VHS feel, and they were quirky. It seemed like the person doing the narration for it just, you know, had no idea what they were reading. So I'm like, well, what if we make these, but like do it with new games?
Mm.
And he was like way into the idea, and it's just I look back on it now and like doing those how to beat videos early on. I think that I like to say like, oh, we were like kind of ahead of the curve on the whole like VHS aesthetic, you know, like as like
you were in a way. Yeah.
Like a nostalgia thing, you know, like it was in certain aspects, but I don't know. There certainly wasn't any sort of filters and stuff that you could just like apply to this footage to make it look like this. So we would record these games in HD, and then we would export the sequence, and then we would play that out from our computer into a VCR, record it onto the tape, and then play that. Then switch the like the input and the output, and like re-record that VHS tape like back into our computer.
You were just doing it twice.
Yeah.
All in real time because you have to watch the tape.
Right, but I mean, a lot of them they weren't that long.
Right,
they were like between like 10 to 15 minutes. But still, I mean, that was to get that really authentic feel to it. That was the only way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we released that first video as DuckTales Remastered on October 1st, and it did pretty well, like out of the gate, I think, because the game had just come out. And WayForward themselves like retweeted like the tweet on it and stuff, and that kind of got us like off and running.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a couple I did one on Castle of Illusion that came out the next week, like the Castle of Illusion remake. And we at the time we had this idea of like having a backstory to the existence of these tapes, like as if like all games were already made.
Yeah,
and they made these tapes to sell for when the game eventually releases.
That's cool.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, like you have like a lore to why these tapes even exist.
Exactly. So we would do that. We did a couple of those, and then I did a video on the first Star Fox, which was the first time that it was very similar to the video that I did on Phantasy Star for the other site.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at the time also, all this stuff was just like narration, and we had no interest in like being on camera ourselves. Like we just thought, we'll just like narrate it. Like the How to Beat stuff was narrated by Try's boss, who was like an old news guy, and he recorded it with him, and he says, just read it. If you mispronounce something, don't ask how to pronounce anything, just like how you think it should be pronounced, because that just like lends to the authenticity of it.
Yeah, you're really truly recreating it from top to bottom.
Right. And we wanted it to feel like the authentic, like, because even if you look at like our whole body of work, like there's not a lot of jokes in there, but when there's jokes, it's just kind of like, oh, there it is. It's never us like drawing attention to it. It's just kind of like, we're really big on like playing it straight if we can. Like, don't acknowledge that like, oh, I said something funny, now you should laugh. We don't call it out. We prefer to just, have it be like, if you know, or if you catch it, you catch it. And
Try told me about in the Analog Pocket video how you left the clip of him saying like, "Oh, there it goes," and I had never caught that before. Going back now, I think it's so hilarious. I even included it in the episode with Try. I pulled it out of your video and put it in there so people could hear it. I think that's so. And that's a great example of it. If you catch it, it's there. But you didn't bring Try way up and go, look, here he is struggling with this Game Boy.
Yeah, like laugh about this now. Like I'm making a
laugh track.
I think that exactly. So I think that that's something that we think about a lot, like in terms of like our approach to videos. But anyways, I did that Star Fox video, did not appear in it, and then I think Try did another How to Beat, and I think it was Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD.
Yep. I'm looking at the video page.
And that one was kind of our big breakout success. It came out right before we went to MagFest, I think. That must have been like MagFest at the beginning of 2014, I'm guessing. So that video came out like probably in January, or maybe it might have been November actually of that, like after the game came out.
You're really close. It's October 30th of 2013.
Okay.
So right before Halloween, right in that November window.
So that was kind of our first big breakout success, and that got posted on Kotaku, which got it spread around a bunch more, and slowly like that's it started to get more attention. And I think it was when we were at MagFest then in January of 2014 that I think we went to like a RetroWare TV panel. I mean, I'm not sure if you're familiar with RetroWare TV. That was
I'm not.
that's where like a lot of people got their start. Where back then you could get the YouTube wasn't the destination. It was kind of just like the source of like where the videos were posted. And there would be like websites like RetroWare TV where people would make videos on YouTube, but they would post them all on this site. So it's like this site, RetroWare TV, has like this talent, you know,
Gotcha,
like this group. And I mean, people like a bunch of people like early on, like were posting there all the time. Like LGR was posting on that. Pat Country was one of the creators, I think, or early on. But there's just like a bunch of people pushing up roses and just like a bunch of like different people. And we went to a panel where we watched that, and then we like like Game Chasers, I think, might have been like the ones that were presenting at this panel, and they like showed some stuff. I'm like, well, you know what? We should try to be on camera. Like it doesn't seem like it's that hard. You know, like we had no experience like being on camera in any capacity. Try always laughs about my voiceover in those early episodes.
Yeah. And
that's because like when I was still living in New York, my daughter was, you know, a year and a half old, and she was just like right on the other side of the door from me, like on the other side of the wall. So I had to really talk quietly because I could only record like when I got home from work, which was, you know, like after dinner and stuff was like 9 o'clock, 9:10 at night. So I talk real quietly.
I know the struggle. I have my daughter turns 1 tomorrow, and we were in an apartment, and so now, and her crib was in my office, so I actually couldn't do anything while she was asleep. But I know when, you know, I gotta be really quiet because she's asleep somewhere in this apartment. So I totally know the struggle.
But so we were like, well, you know, let's try being on camera. And he did a video on Kiwi Craze where he was able to borrow a camera from work. And, you know, he was on camera as the first on-camera appearance.
Okay.
And it was right around this time that we were kind of getting ready to leave New York. You know, my wife is from, like, up by Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And she's like, oh, we have some friends, like, in Cincinnati. Would you want to go and check it out, see what it's like? I'm like, I never want to leave New York. I don't want to move away. But then we went for like a weekend to see some friends, and I'm like, I love it here. Let's move here. And basically, right before we were gonna move, I was about to like, you know, like leave my job, and like the place that I worked at, like has slowly been getting just like hemorrhaging work, like just like clients like crazy, right? And you know, like I was working as a staff editor, like I was spending like a lot of days not doing anything. So I was able to like work on writing scripts and stuff while I was at work.
Anyways, also know what that's like.
So you have this time, and, you know, like they're just like losing clients. And then I was like literally days before I was going to quit, essentially, like put in my 2 weeks. They laid me off, and it's like, oh, we'll also give you like 2 months severance.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, oh, I was going to leave anyways. So that's like when we kind of like up and, you know, moved to the Midwest, moved to like, I mean, I would say Cincinnati, but like the truth is that I live like right across the Ohio River in northern Kentucky.
Okay.
So you're it's like right on the other side.
You're close enough, but you're not technically there.
Right. So, I mean, it's like you can see it from, you know, my living room, right? But, you know, it's just, so I moved out here, and I'm like, you know, we're going to be on camera and stuff. Like, and I'm like, okay, so what I'm going to do, I don't have a lot of time to like make a full video if we want to keep this release schedule that we have going, because we're releasing like every week, every other week at that point. And I'm like, I'm just going to redo that Phantasy Star video. I'm just going to like restructure the script a little bit and take all these motion graphics that I spent all this time and nobody saw, and I'm going to like redo it so that I can just put it on here. So Smart. I did that, and I made another episode at the same time, and like I just like edited them at the same time. Like I did the Phantasy Star video, and I did one on Klonoa, the first Klonoa on the PS1, and I just got those all queued up, and they released while I was moving.
Yeah, I also know what that's like. Like, you guys, like, what can I prep while I'm getting ready to move so that it can. The illusion that work is still going on, even though I am actually loading up a box truck.
Yeah, but you know, I was ready to by the time we left New York, I was ready to leave New York because I was just excited. I didn't want to leave, and then when it was like when we're leaving, especially like after getting laid off from the job I had for like 7 years, at that point, and you know, like my daughter was getting close to 2. And we were thinking about having a second. It's like, we're definitely going to need like a bigger place.
You're not going to get that in New York. Well, in the city part of it, I'm sure there's room upstate. But
right.
I imagine the cost of living where you are is less than New York.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, we just started doing, like I did that Klonoa and stuff. And then like we rented a house when we first moved here because we didn't have a place to live. So we just like rented a house. And while we were there, we were still like making videos, and we had this idea of like, well, what if we did like a video just like talking about like how we capture footage?
I feel like that's where it changed for me because Kotaku shared that, and from then on, I've been a My Life in Gaming subscriber, and you know, it was like, looked at your stuff for the last decade essentially. I mean I think that was the video.
Oh, that was absolutely the video. I mean, we got posted on Kotaku one other time with another How to Beat video, which was on Shovel Knight that did really, really good. And that was right after the game came out. So that got passed around a ton. For the longest time, that was our biggest video.
Yeah.
But we were like, okay, so let's try to do like this, how we capture footage. And then it was just like a one-off idea. We never anticipated it being anything else. But we made this it was like called it's called RGB and the Frame Meister, like getting the best picture quality from your retro video games. And that, like, it just, we had no anticipation for it. But I'm like, oh, this is really cool when I saw like the final edit, because we both like, you know, recorded our segments, and then I gave everything a try, and he was like creating all the comparisons and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is pretty neat. And then it immediately like got posted on Kotaku. And then like from there, it kind of blew up from there. And, you know, it's very, very much like being in the right place at the right time. I mean, that is not something that we could have planned. And I mean, I think that's how a lot of this stuff is. You just kind of, you know, you make a video and it just like is at the right moment for it to get picked up. And like it kind of capitalizes on a subject that somebody was like, a lot of people were curious about. And I mean, one of the reasons we made that video is because it took a lot of research on our part, but we were just like looking at like walls of text, you know, like on websites where it's, okay, so you got to read this many, many times to figure it out. A lot of trial and error. Like if I could just see like the real results and like just have somebody talking to me about it, like it would make it a lot easier to consume.
Yeah.
So sure. I think that just connected with a lot of people, very much right place, the right time. And I think that it just kind of blew up from there, where we were taking something that we didn't really know too much about, but we were learning. And we didn't know a lot of the technical aspects of it, but we knew what you needed to do to get, or what you needed for like good results. So it was very much taking the complicated subject and it's making it easier for people who don't understand this stuff or don't really want to like understand the like the ins and outs of it, like just make it easy for them to understand and just to do it.
Just tell me what cable I need, what box I need, and here's how I get it on my TV. That kind of audience. Exactly.
So I think that's why that video resonated so much, is because it just was the right place at the right time, and people were interested in this, and it was just presented in a way that was, I don't know, like not saying like, oh, here's all these complicated things just going to make your head like swim. You know, here's just like what you need to get this. And it just blew up from there. And we had no intention of making it a series. And then we're like, oh, we should do another one. So we did like the 102 that's showing like how we had things hooked up, like in our setups.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just people saying like, oh, do you want it? Like, how do you do this? What about this system? And then it just kind of grew from there and became like, we were like, oh, we should like format it like as a college course. Whereas like, you know, you got your 100 levels, like the basic subjects. And then you have like 200, which is like focusing on like specific consoles. And the 300 is just like all this, you know, like all the extra stuff that can kind of go around, like, you know, that it just play a part in this whole scene. And that, you know, that video got us noticed by like a lot of people, and, you know, people that I thought would maybe like would be annoyed with what we're doing, but ended up becoming like great friends, like Bob from Retro RGB, like, cause he had a great site at the time even.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I wonder if like, he's gonna like hate what we're doing. If we're like,
we're coming for his audience.
Yeah. Or like dumbing it down to the point where, you know, it's insulting or something like that.
Well, these guys don't know what sync on Luma means. Get out of here.
Exactly. And that's kind of what a lot of this turned into, is that, you know, if we didn't know about a subject, it's like, well, how can we like learn about this and share those, like that learning procedure, like that, you know, in a video? Like, how can we like make a video out of this subject that we don't understand? We can like learn to understand that and then make a video at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where like the sync video comes from.
Yeah.
Or just like, you know, I guess, well, CRTs were later, because I didn't really have a CRT in my setup at the time. But it's just, I don't know, it's surreal that it ended up becoming what it is. And it's just not something we could have planned. And it's crazy to me now, because like there's so many people like yourself that say, oh, you know, like seeing that first one is like what led me into this whole thing. Like I had no idea like a lot of the stuff even existed, but it's like so cool. And like now it's something that a lot of people really, I don't know, like just like it's a part of their life.
Yeah.
I guess.
I really resonate. I think one of the things that really captivated me, besides like Kotaku's image for that article, is really, I don't even know if it'll load with all the stuff they have on the website now, but it was that shot of Link and A Link to the Past, and it's just like composite video and then the sharp RGB. So it's just like such a stark contrast, right? Of
yes,
how that can't be real on real hardware, right? And it's so
exactly.
It's just, and at that time, I would have been, I think, high school, early college. Yeah, I was going into my freshman year of college at the time, so I had no money. There was no way to do this. But it was so fascinating to me from a tech perspective,
right.
Video perspective, you know, AV, all that kind of stuff. And so I just kept watching and be like, even if I don't even have the system, right, like a Genesis or something, it's like, this is so cool. And oh my gosh, what a wormhole Genesis is, right? With all the different revisions and sounds. And then I feel like I'm just naturally learning more and more and more and becoming aware of the state of retro gaming and just what came before. I think that helps me appreciate things that come afterward as well. But it also led to me really fighting to keep a lot of the old stuff. I've always been someone who keeps boxes and games and consoles, but my family's moved a lot. And so a lot of stuff has been lost because parents would make decisions that the child couldn't, which is, I get from their perspective, like, why do you want to keep this Game Boy Advance box? It's cardboard. Now I'm like, I wish I still had my Metroid Zero Mission box. Like you still have the game, but the box was always so cool to me. But you know, like I kept the CRT. A lot of people were like, you need to get rid of it. It's too much space. It's too big. I'm like, it's the only way that I can currently afford to play the old games. Like if I think if I could have bought a FrameMeister at the time, I don't think I'd have a CRT these days. There's a lot of consoles I don't think I would have kept necessarily if I could have put them on my HD TV or had other ways to play them. And but you guys, like, keeping me informed made me at least understand that I need to keep this until I can afford more modern means. And then ultimately it just led to me keeping everything anyway.
Yeah. Although, you know, like I don't keep my system boxes. I either give them away to, like, you know, Try has
the boxes.
Yes. I don't have the space for it, unfortunately. You know, or they just...
I get it. I believe me, I still fight. There are totes over here. They're like, but at least I have my own room now, essentially, this detached garage. So they're like, well, if I can't see it, I guess it's fine. But I'm like, it's important. Believe me. At least that's what I tell myself. It's really cool to hear that journey. I think you even had a comment, because you've got this preview video up, I think, of your tour, your upcoming tour, where you're like, man, if the Mister had existed back when I was in New York, like, I don't even know if I would have kept all this stuff. So was all your old consoles just in a tote back at home?
Yes. It was like either in a tote at my mom's house or like in the back of my closet in New York. Like once my wife and I like were serious and we like moved into, I moved into her apartment, but she, she lived upstairs in like a 2-family house.
Okay.
And when we moved in together, she moved out of the upstairs and we moved into the bottom floor of this 2-family house, which was like actually like pretty big for where it was, especially is in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Okay. Which is like a super, like now, even then it was still getting like really expensive, but you know, she had been living there long enough that we got a pretty good deal. You know, we stayed there for a long time, and I just didn't have any room or like any desire really to like get these systems out. And, you know, like I just kept on, I sold a lot of games during that time, especially to help me like fund my move to New York in the first place, because I kept a lot of the stuff that I had a real sentimental attachment to, which luckily is like a lot of games that are super expensive now.
Good.
But there's certain things that, you know, I sold off because I just like bought these games when they were either on clearance or I'd gotten like these PS1 games for real cheap. When I was in college, there was this one website where you could fill out surveys and they would give you like Amazon gift cards.
My wife still does that kind of stuff today. She loves it.
And it's, I mean, yeah, it still exists, but I mean, this was like 2001.
Okay.
2001. So Amazon wasn't even like nearly what it was. They'd only like started selling other things than books, right? So I was filling out these surveys and I would just like spend, you know, you spend all day, like it's like a Sunday, just like filling out so many of these surveys, and then you get like $100 Amazon gift card a couple days later. So I bought all kinds of games and stuff that way. It just got them straight up like basically for free. So I got stuff like Suikoden 2.
Oh my gosh.
For like nothing. Like, because it was brand new. It was still new at the time. So I got it brand new.
Yeah.
But when I moved to New York, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go through and just figure out what the stuff that I don't have these attachment to, like, what can I sell? And I ended up selling things that are now worth like a bunch of money. Like I said, sold like Suikoden 1, 2, and 3 as a bundle for $80.
Holy smokes, man.
So, I mean, but like at the time I was just trying to raise this money for one, and I didn't know that it would even be something that, you know, I didn't realize that it would be like the equivalent to like what comic books were to like our parents.
I don't think a lot of people did. I really don't. It's interesting to look back at the stuff that we collect now is so valuable. Like the GameKeep games alone that I have are worth a fortune. Yeah. GameKeep's really booming right now. It's crazy, man. It's just nuts to see and think.
It's because, you know, like the people that were kids when the GameCube was out are like just graduating from college.
They have disposable income now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I had a lot of that stuff, and I sold stuff that, you know, I wish that I didn't sell, but also I'm really happy that I kept things like my Chrono Trigger, like all the Working Designs games on the PS1 and Sega CD. stuff like that. Things that I had like a real emotional attachment to. And I mean, if the Mister it had existed in, I don't know, like 2007, 2008, like I probably would have sold a lot of that stuff even then, because I could just play it that way. You know, it's just, I'm happy now that I kept it though, because something I've realized, like as I get older, that if I had sold like my childhood copy, like I would say that I was fortunate enough to like be old enough when things like Final Fantasy 3 or 6.
I call it 3.
Yeah, me too. Final Fantasy 3 or like Chrono Trigger came out. I was lucky enough to be old enough to understand like, oh, this is the kind of game I like. I like this game, and I'm gonna, like I got both those games day one. I had them pre-ordered from like mowing lawns all summer and pre-ordered those, and I still have those copies. But if I was to get rid of those, I don't think I would feel like compelled to like rebuy just like copies of them, because like there's something about it like being the one that has been with me forever. Since I've had as like my original copy. Like nothing can change. Like that is like that's what makes it valuable to me.
I totally agree with you. I have the same thing, and I've sold a lot of stuff that I wish I could get back. I think a lot about Pokemon Diamond on the DS. That was my first Pokemon game, like back. So I had played Blue as a kid, and then long story short, my parents said no more Pokemon. You're too obsessed. It's not good. It's out of your life. And so when I was 13, I was like, please, can I just play Pokemon again? And I was able to, and it was a big Pokemon birthday, essentially. I got that, and Ranger, and I think Mystery Dungeon, Blue Rescue Team. So it was like a full Pokemon game spree. And I probably spent like 120 hours in Diamond, and then I got Platinum and spent, another 60 or 80 in that. And then lo and behold, later on, it's like, oh, I really want to buy. I honestly can't even tell you what I bought with it. But GameStop's giving me $40 for Pokemon Diamond. Yeah, I'll do that. I'm not going to play this again. And then to me, it's that, the cartridge has that sentimental value of like, this is mine. But that save data is just gone. It's just
that's why I'm crazy about save data, like save file backup.
That's a thing that I've really come to realize over the past couple of years. And actually, let's jump into it a little bit here, because like I care so much about my save data, because I feel like that's the true encapsulation of my experience with the game.
Yes,
it is. Yeah. Even though every time you play
at that moment in time,
it's just perfectly isolated. And so there's, as soon as I figured out that I could like back up all my Game Boy Advance games through the Game Boy player using Swiss and the Game Boy interface, I was like, let's do it, get it done. Same thing with the Super Nintendo carts, with the Super NT. GameCube was a big kind of interesting thing with like using the Wii to back things up, but now we've got the MemCard Pro GC. God, oh my gosh, what a great accessory!
Because now you can save those forever, and you can
they're
put them on cloud services. Like you can make backups of the backups. Yeah,
it's so important, I think, to have that stuff. And you definitely probably have way more save datas than I do, and obviously the means. My big gap is the N64. I forget what that original kind of popular one was called, but you can't get that really affordable anymore. And there's been some things. I guess now the thing is the open source cartridge reader, which seems to be kind of the godsend to us save fanatics.
Yeah.
I saw in your video that you put up today, the accessories, you've got the new one, the latest one with the screen and stuff. Can you talk to me about that? That seems pretty neat.
Well, it's just it has like a bunch of different cartridge slots.
Yeah.
And, and inputs for like an N64 controller and stuff like that. It's just, I talked about the Retrode in the past.
That's the one that I remember seeing.
Right. And that was kind of my gateway to realizing like, oh, I can actually, back up this save data. The thing is these things aren't specifically for backing up saves. It's more like, hey, you can dump your ROMs and play them in emulators. Honestly, like that's like the main thing that's appealing to people, I think. But that Retroed was something that like opened my mind for like, oh my gosh, so I can back these up. Then I can change these batteries that I'd lost some save files like over the years. Like the one that kills me the most is my childhood Phantasy Star save. Like I'm sad that I like lost that. But like, and I think the other one I lost is like Secret of Mana. And it kills. I mean, like the Secret of Mana, and like specifically, like I used to like always like name the girl character after like whoever I like had a thing for at the time, and it's like, man, I wish I'd like had that.
That's cute.
But I think that having like being able to back that up, but I could like back them up. I can change these batteries, then put the save back on, and that was I had never really like soldered anything before, and that's kind of where I learned how to desolder something. And it's a very basic thing to do. And yeah, I mean, I'm real happy that those things exist, because it's just like a moment in time that nothing can replace. And even if you were to, but I mean, it's a combination of that childhood cartridge that I had. It's always been with me. With that save file on it, that's it can't be replaced. And I mean, if I say like if all this stuff, it just like was gone one day, like I probably would just like stick with the Mister and just play the things that I wanted to play. But the stuff that I like, the old stuff that I have, is just like sentimental things. And I mean, I always joke about the thing that kills me the most, though, makes me the saddest, is that the copy of Snatcher that I sold. But I was able to like rebuy it. I mean, that's what I mean about like knowing what at the time, like knowing what the kind of games that I liked. And like I got Snatcher like day one, and I don't even think it sold very much in the U.S. period. But man, that was one of the last things that I sold, and I sold that one actually like after I moved to New York, and I was still like interning. Maybe I finished interning, but I was like working as a because I was like, after I finished that internship, I was like temping for a while, like barely making it. So I was like, I guess I'll sell this one. I think I may have sold it for like $80. And, like I got it back like maybe 6-7 years ago, and it was like $500. But, but the thing is, I haven't played all the way through that version of it, because I mean, I haven't replayed it all the way through. Right. Because it's not like that childhood copy. I don't feel as strongly towards it. And I think that was like when I rebought that, that's kind of what made me realize like, oh, I'm glad I have this, but at the same time, it's like, it's not the same. It's not the same as like the one that I played, for the first time.
Yeah, I think that's part of why I haven't like rebought Diamond or Platinum or anything like that, because I don't.
You're just not as excited like doing it now. It's more fun to go back and like look at that old save and like see what you named the Pokemon or whatever, and this and that, and it's just
that's actually one of the things I do now, is when I buy a cart game, if I have the means to back up that save, I do in a weird way. It's just not that whoever owned it before can ever find me. And it's not it's not like they take up a bunch of space, but like my copy of Link to the Past that I bought, I think one was like I forget the total joke, but it was like a poop joke was essentially the name. It was the character name, and that's so childish and funny. But I totally backed it up. Like that kid, that was his thing. He was poopy or whatever, saving the day. And I've got my father-in-law's copy of The Legend of Zelda for the NES, and I put it in the other day because he just gave me his NES. They had the whole box set and stuff. It still has save data. I'm like, oh gosh, I wish. And I don't have the means to back up the NES though. So, But the Save the Hero pre-orders are opening back up. And I'm kind of like, maybe now's the time to do it.
Yeah.
Because I really want my N64 stuff is kind of like the big gap I have
right
in those old things. I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about this too, the modern world of saves. I remember being able to take my PS3, or I guess the PS1 version of Castlevania Symphony of the Night on my PS3, take that save data off, and then like put it on my Mister. I think that's really cool. I wish I could bring that into like the modern version on PS4 with Requiem, but I've looked. It doesn't seem to be any way, shape, or form possible. But the thing is Sony's cloud saving is tied to PS Plus. And I found the cloud saving stuff instrumental. I was just using it actually not too long ago on my PS TV to bring some Vita stuff in that got kind of like lost when I was upgrading the homebrew. And now that's jumping up another $20 a year. So just to keep cloud saving, which I find valuable, I don't think you can even pull saves off PS5.
Yeah, 5 you have no
PS4
place for it.
Like
I mean, everything like pre PS5 you can back up to a USB stick if you want.
Yeah, so that's
which I've done, but with 5 it's like cloud save only. It drives me crazy. And like, I mean, I think I made a tweet about it at the time. It's like, I would pay $20 a year to just like have cloud saves and that's it. Like that is super valuable to me.
I feel like people don't think about the save data all that much.
Right.
In this, as we go toward a digital future with modern hardware, I mean, that new Xbox leak, it's all digital Series X essentially, and PS5 is rumored to basically be only digital with a detachable disk drive. And who knows what PS6 and Xbox, God only knows what they'll call it, will look like. But I'm imagining physical stuff's out of the way, and that I feel like that's going to just trickle down to save datas, and then we're not going to be able to, without some sort of subscription service, have access to those moments in time.
I mean, that's the march of progress, I guess. That
I don't like it.
I know. Well, I mean, if everything goes like completely digital, like I would probably get like the cheapest version of whatever console, and then just like occasionally like play the stuff that I feel like I want to play that's digital, but I would not feel nearly as invested. And I justify it in like, I have more than a lifetime of stuff that I haven't played that I have. Yeah. Even though, like I tend to say, I have a curated collection. I don't buy just like every little thing. I only buy things that I would be interested in playing eventually. And I have like more than like multiple lifetimes of stuff that I could play through. Thinking about like say like 40 to 60 hour RPGs, right? Thinking about that, I had an epiphany like a couple months ago about how with the way my life is, like with work and like doing the channel and like kids and when it comes down to it, like I probably have enough time to play like maybe like at the most like four of these like 60-hour RPGs a year. I could play more than that if I really like pushed into it. But when you think about it, like I'm going to be 45, that's like 40 like 60-hour RPGs. Like I might only have the opportunity to play like less than 100 more of them in my lifetime. when you break it down.
Yeah.
It's like,
break the numbers down.
So how do I will be more than happy to then just play the stuff that I have.
Yeah. I've kind of had that realization lately, mostly because since having Eloise, my daughter, my game time has become very narrow and focused.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much only playing stuff for my other podcast, Chapter Select. I pretty much have been only playing that stuff. And so over the last year, that's been Resident Evil and Pokemon.
Right.
But then I look at all the games that I've actually beaten, this year, like the ratio of what I've beaten to what I've played, and it's almost 100%, which has never happened in my life. Before it'd be like, here's 60, 70 games I played this year, but I only beat maybe 20 of them or 30 of them.
Right. I mean, that just goes back to like the backloggery, like why, like you are like thinking about it more. Like if I'm gonna start this, I'm gonna play all the way through it. If I'm gonna put the time in, I'm gonna see it all the way through.
Yeah. And I'm starting to also associate that with the cost of things. It's like, well, I've spent the money on this. I'm going to play it. Another tactic I've done with myself is I don't open a game until I'm sitting down to play it. So if I see cellophane on the shelf, it's like, I haven't played that yet. I haven't opened that yet.
Right.
That's how I got to play like Resident Evil 3. I was like, I need something short, but to fill like a gap. I forget what games it was coming out between, but I was like, I need something quick and fun that I haven't played before. And it was like, the Resident Evil 3 remake. And that turns out to be one of my favorite Resident Evil games out of all of them, now that I've played all the mainline ones. It's like, I love this game. But it fit in the time in my life, and it was because it was sitting there. And I had it, and I bought it, and I hadn't played it yet. So, my buddy who I do the show with, he's in games media, so he plays way more because it's his job. And he's like, he saw the list of games I played this year. He's like, the only things you've played that aren't for the show are like Death's Door and Inside. I'm like, I wanted to play both of those, and they're really good.
Yeah.
And he's like, you just got to play more. I'm like, I don't have the time, dude. I get maybe an hour a day, maybe.
Yeah.
If I wake up early enough.
It comes down to, just like making the time. Like, because I have like a regular job, but I work remote from home. And like even before I had this, I got the job that I work at now, like mid 2020, like during a pandemic where they were, like it was like a company was switching to like doing things virtually. And ironically, the person who reached out to me was like, oh, I've like watched your show for a long time. Like, I know that Coury takes on freelance work. Would you be interested in doing this thing? And I was like, oh yeah, of course. And then they offered a full-time job, and I was like, yeah, I'm interested in. And my wife was like, yes, take something that's a full-time, please. Because I mean, we were both working from home, but I mean, my wife does graphic design, like she works in advertising, and has for several years now. But I think that like we were just like feeling like because when the pandemic happened, I was like working freelance. I had clients who like came and like followed me from New York and was like, were working with me remotely during that, like after I got laid off and stuff. But when the pandemic hit, like all my freelance work dried up because all their work dried up.
Yeah.
So like YouTube was like, okay, well now I need to see if I can like make a living from this stuff. So, I mean, I could contribute a little bit, but nowhere near like what I needed to, So, it's nice to have like this remote job that I can, like I do what I need to do, and I have to travel sometimes for it. And that's fine, but I can fit in working on the show or playing a game or something like that. Like when I have time, and that's just, like some people say like, oh, how do you, like I've seen your end of the year videos. Like if Coury has 2 kids and like a job and stuff, how is he playing all this stuff? And I mean, it just comes down to the fact, like if you want to play something, like you'll figure out a time to play it. And so, like there's times where I was getting up at like 5 a.m. like before anybody was up, getting some time in, like playing so and so or working on something like show related. Or like, and we also like do a live stream every Sunday.
Yes.
Which is like where a lot of that comes in. It's like I have that, like that 2.5, 3 hours blocked off that I can play through like older games in one sitting on there.
Yeah.
So that goes a long way for it. But I don't know. He plays a lot more games than I do. But it's like, for me, it's just, I would just like figure out times to fit it in.
Yeah.
Like I'll fit in like an hour, like after people go to bed, or get up early before anybody else. I mean, I always joke about like getting up, there's a point where I was getting up at 5 o'clock every day, and there's almost no greater joy than being in this like empty house, being the only person up, or like being in this house, everyone's asleep.
Yeah.
And just like having that first cup of coffee and just like sitting in the recliner and playing a game for a while. Like it's like the best part of my day. But then I realized after doing that for a while that I wasn't going to bed any earlier either. So I was going to bed at like midnight. So it's like, I'm actually only getting like 4 hours of sleep. It's like, all right, I need to figure out a way to balance this out. So I like, just figure out time. If you want to play something bad enough, you'll make it work.
Yeah, I'm the early riser. I wake up and that's my time to play. Because in the evenings I do go to bed like 10 o'clock, so I'm getting enough sleep.
Yeah,
and at least for now, Eloise, she goes to bed at like 7:30, so she's out, and then Abby and I hang out and then go to bed. But I've started to kind of, you pointed out your streaming, and that's something that I've dabbled with throughout the years, but over the last year, kind of right before we had the baby, which probably wasn't the best time to try this, was I wanted to try and be consistent, because that at least gives me a dedicated time slot to play something. And so now that I'm in this space, I'm dabbling in that, and it's not like really anyone ever comes to hang out, except this month I've been doing some charity stream stuff for St. Jude, but at least I have a dedicated time. And so I'm kind of like, I've been toying with the idea of tackling some longer games I've wanted to play throughout the year, and using the stream as an excuse to at least get dedicated time in like something like Persona 4 Golden or something like that. So I think you're absolutely right. You'll make time for it. And, I'm going to have that come up here with Spider-Man 2 in October. It's like, well, we're either staying up late with a coffee or we're waking up even earlier, because I've got to fit it in. I want to personally fit it in. I don't have to fit it in. That's not my job.
Right.
Like some people.
Yeah. Exactly. And like, I think that, if it was my job, like having it become your job, like takes, I think
it sucks
a lot of joy out of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's people say, oh, if you love your job, you never work a day in your life. I don't think that's true at all. Like all it does is like make it harder to like enjoy those things in a way that
I totally agree.
Is, completely separate. Like you just want it to be like, hey, I want to enjoy this thing, and like having that be your job is not like, oh, you're just playing it and then you're moving on. It's like you got to do. It's your job. Then you got to like spend all kinds of time like writing about it.
Yes.
And,
this is totally
there's like
true.
all these other things that go along with it. It's not just like, oh, you're playing games one time and you're done, and you get like a sum of money just to play through that game like the one time, not do anything else. Like you're getting paid to do like this other stuff that you may not love as much. I always talk about how the thing that I struggle with the most, like in terms of like making videos and everything, is the writing aspect. Like I really, really struggle with writing, and I wish that I was better. And it's like it makes it even more challenging because Tri is a very good writer. He's very verbose a lot of times in his writing, but he's just very good at just writing it all out, right, and getting it out, like all this information out in a way that's not this, like, saying this and this and this, but this and this and this. He like, he's very, very, he's a very good writer, and I wish that I was able to write like even like remotely as close to as well as he does. I feel like even as time goes on, I become like less confident in my writing, and I find myself going back and rewriting things or just like, paring it down. But at the same time, I think that this is something that is beneficial to having two hosts for a show on a channel, is where there's people that, like I don't have the level of technical understanding that Tri does. Like he like really loves like a lot of the technical aspects of it. And sometimes like he'll just like get into this like word salad that I just like makes my head spin after a bit. But like I feel like I'm like the other side where it's like, hey, this thing can do this stuff. Here's how it does it like at a base level. Isn't it pretty cool that it can do this? And like, here's how you can do it. It's like, you know, kind of a cool, like outside of the box thing you can do with it. And I think there's some people that, you know, like one approach more than the other. Mm-hmm. And that's what's good about like having two people on a channel is like you kind of get both sides.
You balance each other out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it all works out and creates the style of the show, which is one that I certainly love.
Like Try's been testing that RetroTink 4K and just like all these things, like he can like say like, oh, you know, if you like move this, you know, like sample this one pixel, like slightly blah, blah, blah. It's like I don't even understand how you begin to even think that, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it just does not even, it doesn't even begin to like register of like how you like think that in the first place. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like that about like writing and stuff. I'm not sure if you're familiar with like Tim Rogers and Action Button.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm very familiar from his days at Kotaku, but I see the length of those videos. Like, oh my gosh, dude.
But the thing is, like, he is such a good writer. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it is insane. Like, I just don't even begin to understand like how, like, it's just like a different plane of existence in the ways like thinks, like in like observes things. Like, I don't know if it's just the way that I am or whatever, but I mean, it's like, that is like definitely something that I struggle with. I think like, oh, I wish I could do this and this and this, but ultimately I just just have to accept that like, I'm not that way. And how can I play to the strengths of the way that I am? You know, I can always like try to improve upon certain aspects, but how could I, you know, like play to the strength of what people like to watch from me, I guess.
Yeah, I totally get it. I like each one of your videos, whether they're together or individual. I think you each have a style that comes together, I think matches up really well. And I've loved over these last 2 episodes really hearing about it and exploring it between the two of you. Mm-hmm. I think we as in the audience are going to get a kind of a big taste of it here with the new studio tour that you've been teasing for a while now. Actually,
way too long.
No, I don't think it's been too long.
Well, I mean, people have been asking for it for at least 3 years, but you know, it's it's a little extreme, but it's like
over these last few years, though, you've really been, I think, building up the space. It hasn't even felt like the right time, I would think, for a tour until you've been a bit more established where you are now, which in my notes have dubbed the basement.
Yes. I mean, that is what it is, you know, compared to, because the last place I was in an attic.
Yes.
And, hot, cold attic. In a 180-year-old house. Or no, I'm sorry, 144-year-old, not 180. 144 years old, because it was like built in 1878. So and I was born in 1978. Okay. So
there you go.
This house is much newer. It came out
it came out. The
release date of this house was 1997, which is the same year that I graduated from high school.
Okay. So very cool. I feel like my house is from the 30s, 38. This house was built in 38.
Okay.
That's what it was. So in all of this, you know, your setup videos and others, because I was getting ready to design out this space, this detached garage, so I'm watching studio tours and digging into other people's videos, and that all inspired me to make my own recently, and I put that up, and that was cool. I even had an homage to, in I think RGB 102, you have the shot where you're in the apartment and you're spinning, and I did kind of a little homage to that. I'm still... You tell me if you remember, how'd you do the shot where you're changing your position? Is it just camera on the tripod and you just did that same spin 3 times and just edited it in?
So I had like a motorized spinner that was I mean, we used to use it to like spin products like on camera or something like that. Oh. But what I did is I put I mounted my camera to a microphone stand, which just like had the base on it. So I put that on there and I just like ran it, and I didn't move it or anything like that. So I could I had so many takes of it, you know, I could just like, I could cut those takes together.
Right. Okay.
Because I do like some speed ramping on it where it speeds up and then it slows down to show me doing something. So that like can mask a lot of the like maybe color changes or something like that. Or just like if I like maybe bumped it slightly or something like that, you can hide it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, I mean, it's just like one of those little, like, it's like a little editing trick, I guess, or camera.
Yeah. I liked it a lot. Mine was I put it on this spinning desk chair on a tripod and very nervously spun the chair while hoping it would not fall. I mean, I was behind it the whole time, so it wasn't as difficult as what you were doing, at least if I was spinning on a chair on a tripod. But, you know, so there was the New York apartment, then the rental house with the attic, and then or a rental house, then the attic house, and then the basement.
Right.
So it was those 4 different houses. And I mean, your setup is drastically different from those Target wire shelves to where you are
Yes. Now. Well, I mean, I attribute a lot of that to the fact that, so we moved into this house we closed on this house on December 30th, 2019. So we had
That's
just
a pretty
moved
good
in.
time.
Yes. You know, we had looked at different houses. You know, I wanted to move into a house that was newer because I was just getting sick of dealing with like old electric
problems.
work, and you just don't know. You can't do certain things because, you know, like I'm not gonna like climb underneath like in these like crawl spaces like underneath the house, you know, for this. I mean, I don't even want to know what I'm going to find in there. So we wanted to move someplace that was newer, and then I could actually like do some stuff. And we like looked at a bunch of places for a while. Like I also didn't want to like deal with moving. And then when we found this, you know, like I saw the basement, I'm like, oh, you know, I can definitely do something with this. I mean, there's a lot of things that were, I mean, the people who lived here before, it was mainly empty. It was just like storage and stuff. I'm like, but there's like all this cool stuff down here that I could like work with, you know, like there's like a drop ceiling. I'm like, oh, I could like run my wires like behind like the drywall and up above the drop ceiling, and then have it go down behind the drywall, like in its destination, and have like a little outlet where just like cables are coming out. So it like hides a lot of that stuff. But, you know, like we moved in here, and then suddenly everything closed down. A lot of my work dried up, and like I have all this time to do, like, to just figure stuff out. Like I learned a bunch of stuff that I would never have even considered attempting in the old house. Like I learned how to like install like outlets, like electric outlets, like running additional electric wires like from like other places. And just, you know, just stuff that I would never even like I would have been way too scared to do in the first place. But, you know, like I had this time, like, it would be really convenient to have like an electrical outlet above the drop ceiling, so I could like run a surge protector like up there. I could plug things in up there and have it hidden from sight, and just different things that I learned. It I don't know, like I just like it it made it so that there was a point in time where my favorite thing was going and looking on the clearance racks at Home Depot.
Yeah.
Because you never know what you're going to find. You know, like I have these like lights up here, like, you know, like these like track lights. And this is like in another part of the video that it hasn't, you know, like it's like beyond like the preview segment that you've seen. You know, all this stuff was just like clearance stuff at Home Depot. And it's like, you know, these things were like each of the heads were like normally like $15 each, but they were on clearance for $2.96. I'm like, I'm just going to buy all of them.
Fill the cart. Let's go.
Yeah. You know, like I'm going to get them because they're, you know, like it'd be stupid not to. So, I mean, you know, it goes crazy. I go crazy with it.
I love seeing, obviously, the evolution, right? From the Target wire racks to, you know, you've got these floating shelves now with all your consoles, and I swear I can't see a single wire coming out of it. I'm sure they're there, but it's clean. It looks clean over there from the video shots. To, you know, even like the attic tour everything was segmented off. You would record the table in one room to now it's at the other end of the basement here. All your games, the library is behind you now. And it's cool to see that. And I relate because, in all of my different moving, it's been either isolated to a closet. I mean, the closet in my daughter's room, thankfully, a baby has no need for a bunch of storage. But I mean, it was the shelves in there, from the shelf to the ceiling was all these boxes, and the CRT was shoved in there because there's no, it's CRT or rocking chair. I guess the rocking chair gets the priority. So, but now I have all this room, and it's like, things can breathe and come out, and I can route, I've got 20-foot USB-C cable going over somewhere, and all these component video cables. And so I just love seeing it. So I'm excited to see the full video. But
yeah.
Talk to me about packing up the attic to move to this house. Because watching that tour, which is a Patreon exclusive, is about 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. And at least just getting a grasp on your cabling situation. Oh my gosh. I thought I had a lot of stuff going on. I was like, wow, that's so cool. I got it both to the HD TV and the CRT at the same time. You're like, I've got it all going to 17 monitors, and here's every extra on switch. It's a lot.
To be clear, there's a lot more going on here.
Oh, I believe it.
And than there ever was. But it's like I don't have to go like through the wall to like another room. Mm-hmm. So it's like all in one contained space. This is roughly about the same square footage as I had in the old place. And like right around the corner behind me is it's an area where I've like set up some other stuff, but it's not something I do. Like, it's not like game or show related. It's like, like my kids like have like toys and stuff over there. Yeah. Or there's like a punching bag, I can move some a little bit. I need to move some more down here, honestly. But there's like other stuff, but it's just that you can hide a lot of stuff like above the drop ceiling, and that's what makes it look a lot cleaner. But there is like so much more going on. I'm connected to so many more monitors or capture solutions, or I'm like recently I just I got a pull down projector screen at a yard sale for $5. I'm going to mount that in the basement, and I put it like above. There's like little portions of the ceiling that extrude where there is ventilation or stuff like heating, like pipes and stuff. So it's just like drywall, like just like an enclosure in a way. And I mounted like a projector screen to it, and I can just like pull that down. But if you pull it up, it's completely like out of sight. You don't even know it's there.
That's cool.
So, there's just like lots of other things that I'm doing. And the problem is that every time I find something like that at a yard sale, then it's like, oh, how can I, I'm going to spend all this time now like doing this thing. And really, it's more about the process, just like figuring it out, making it work. And then a lot of times I'm just finding like after I do all this stuff, I don't do anything with it. My kids think it's cool, but it's like I got this projector screen, and I like mounted an older projector that I had. Like,
I was gonna say, did you watch the My Life in Gaming video on CRT projectors? Did you watch that?
No, the only thing we watched is like, because I hooked up a Roku to the projector, and we watched like the new Across the Spider-Verse on that.
Yeah, movie night in the house.
Yeah, but it's like it's on the floor over there. Like we put like sleeping bags down and stuff. It's cool. It's cool, but I have no idea how much we're actually going to use it. It's more about just like the process of doing it. Like I want to do it and make it work, and then that's kind of enough for me. Unless I like really have an idea of like what I want to do, or I hook up the mister to it. Yeah. And I made a like Instagram Reels post on it where it's like me. I was playing Revenge of Shinobi on this big screen, and it's kind of like it's a loose jab towards my kids. I was like, imagine having the ability to be able to do this, and it's just like, Revenge of Shinobi just blown up on this big screen, and it's like, but all you want to do is play Roblox. So that's in your future if Roblox is still around. But it's like,
we'll see. I'm excited to introduce her to video games in some capacity. Obviously, that's a little bit further away, just because she's just figuring out how to stand up. All right, she does have the Fisher Price controller, and I am teaching her the Konami code, so we'll see.
Well, it never goes the way you think it's gonna.
I'm not planning on anything too. I don't have my hopes set too high.
Yeah, kids just want to. They want experiences, not challenge. It seems like, which is understandable. That mirrors a lot of like modern games, kind of.
Yeah, but the experience is more rewarding when there's a little bit of bit of a challenge.
Maybe when he's. So my kids are. My daughter's 11.
Okay,
and,
that makes sense. Yeah,
my son is 8.
10 daughters.
Yeah. She was a little bit over a year after. Because her birthday's in May, so a year. She's 11 and a half.
Okay,
so that makes sense.
Do they?
And the channel is 10.
I know if I was at your house, I'd come into the basement and be like, "Oh my gosh, what do I want to play?" But so, do they? What do they? They have access to literally any video game they want, essentially, right? And
and all they want to do is play Roblox on their iPad.
Wow. Now now they can play it on the PlayStation. So maybe you can get. I think it's coming to PlayStation soon.
I have it on the Xbox.
But, okay, yeah. They don't come down there and go, man, here's.
No, I have no idea if like they're eventually gonna think that it's cool, or they're just gonna be like, oh, it's just not even that big of a deal. If there's anything, like the number one thing that my kids think is cool about me is that, and they love to tell their friends at school, is like, oh, he's got a silver play button. My dad has a silver play button from YouTube. And then, because last year at the end of the school year, some of the faculty at my kid's school found out that I do YouTube, and like, oh, you got to come in and like there was this thing called Future Day where they had like parents come in, just like, just talk with kids, like different classes, right?
Sure.
And like, oh, you need to talk to them about YouTube, because, that is like the number one thing that kids want to be now.
Yeah. They watch it, they see it, and they're like, I want to do YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. that is like, they think it's like, that's the job. And my son's like, oh, it's, I think it sounds fun because it seems like it'd be really easy. I'm like, I wish that it was like really easy all the time. But it just comes down to like the downside to it is that you just like think about it constantly.
Yeah.
Even as time goes on, like the different projects that we've taken on, you're just constantly thinking like, oh, like I want to do something like that again, but like the work involved, like, so, kind of going back to what we were talking about a while ago about, how I wanted to do something where we were, like initially I wanted like the channel to be like, oh, like it's not about like my life or Try's life in gaming. It's like, we want to talk to somebody who has like worked in games, because even then, like, game documentary stuff was not huge. Like there was like the Icons show on G4 or something like that, but that was about as close as it ever got. Like there was little things on YouTube at the time, but there wasn't like, there wasn't anything like No Clip around at the time.
Yeah.
And like, but to have that opportunity, you have to like, have a body of work of stuff to show. And we got sidetracked with like the RGB stuff. And that's just kind of what we are known for. But I think that the good thing is that, the quality of our videos, like our shots and like how it looks overall, like that kind of stuff is what will be like, oh, I feel like we can trust these people to do a good job with it.
Mm-hmm.
Even looking at, so the first, I guess, documentary thing we did is like send an email to like Rand Miller, the guy who directed the Mist series.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to be on a family vacation, like close to where Cyan Studios is. Could I like come and film an interview with Rand Miller? And he was like, and he said, oh, here's some of like the things we've worked on that we've created. And I think that they were immediately like, oh, okay. Like, I feel like I can trust them to do this.
Yeah. You don't want to let just any old Joe off the street come in and shoot an interview with folks. Someone who's actually can do the thing. And that's what's so, it's like, it's almost a catch-22 in a way. Because for the longest time I wanted to, my job that I wanted to do is be a video game journalist and like go work at IGN. And the thing that I was told to do at the time, and is still the case, just in a different context, is, you got to go out and do the work. So you've got to have a blog, you've got to have a YouTube channel, you've got to do podcasts, all these different things. And at that time, I was doing those things just more casually, but then in a pursuit of a journalism degree that, led to more regular things. But then it's like I've had multiple podcasts and I've killed a lot of them. But one that I did was Behind the Pixel, which actually those interviews are back in this feed just so they can exist somewhere on the internet and be accessible. But the whole idea was very similar to what you were talking about, what you wanted to do with My Life in Gaming initially, which was I wanted to talk to people in the game space and not just developers, but journalists as well. I think that was something that no one was really doing. I actually interviewed Danny O'Dwyer kind of earlier in the NoClip days. But I'd also had the opportunity to interview Yacht Club or Per Schneider. But then, I'd throw in smaller people that I found interesting as well. And I guess I'm recreating that here with this show as well, reaching out to folks like you and, but I'd have to go back and look. It feels like a very long list now of different people, even though it's only 30 some odd episodes. But the difference is between Behind the Pixel and this is I was making that show because I wanted to, and I found it interesting. But I also was doing it to have that body of work and make my way into this industry that I wanted to do.
Right.
But then it's just rejection after rejection after rejection because no one wanted to talk to a college student that didn't really have a lot of work to show besides some freelance articles and like 3 episodes of a podcast.
Right.
And that was very demoralizing to a degree. It was just like really hard to hear no a lot. And it's like, but I can do this. I feel like I'm decent at it. I'm at least okay enough. And
someone just needs to give you a chance.
Right. And to be clear, those people don't owe me their time. They're very busy people and they have things to do. I'm very gracious when anyone says yes to come onto my show. But just hearing no a lot really sucked. And so I think after 7 episodes, I was just kind of done with that show. And it took being burnt out on trying to get into the games industry of all these, freelance articles and just doing work that I wasn't interested in. I remember even at one time applying to be like write news for, I say it wrong. I say twin finite, and I think it's twinfinite is what, I don't know. I say it wrong. I applied there, but then it was like to be a writer for MOBA games, which is like the antithesis of what I play.
What you want to do, like League of Legends type stuff, right?
Yeah. I'm like, please no. So that didn't go anywhere. But it took, and I was like, I'm done. And so I left the site that I was at, Dual Shockers at the time. I left that and kind of just was very casually. And it took the realization that I just need to do it for myself, for fun, and turn it from job to a creative outlet. And that led to the website and this show and Chapter Select and stuff. And so now I feel when I get a no for this show, doesn't bug me as much because it's just for me. I'm so curious about folks like you and your work processes and your stories. And if I get the opportunity to talk to someone like you or any of the guests that I've talked to, from friends that I've known for years to new people, I find it's a treat, it's a pleasure, and I have so much fun. But when I get that no, it's like, that's a bummer. Maybe, we'll try again some other day. And so I think it's just a shift in perspective. And that it's helped me a lot, and it's made me kind of reclaim creating in the space.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to get just, there's so many opportunities to like get your stuff out there. But I mean, just because you have the opportunities to get it out there doesn't mean anybody's going to watch it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I talk about this a lot. Like I had a friend recently, who, he's like a director. He's like done some shorts and stuff like that, and like done some other stuff. He's like, I have a friend who, he's an engineer. He's working as an engineer, but he decided that like he just had a really good time, like editing like some family videos, and he's like thinking about leaving his job and getting into that. And I'm like, just tell him don't like get into that now, because I mean, I think about this a lot because when I moved to New York and stuff, like I got that internship, but I got in at a time where it was like on the cusp of being completely accessible to everybody.
Right.
And like, even when I was in school, like I cannot even imagine like going into that marketplace trying to get work now. Like, because they're like, you see what's going on just like even in short form video, like on TikTok and stuff. It's like, I can't even like understand.
Yeah.
But it's like so competitive that you've got to be so good to like just straight out of the gate to like even get it and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Tell him like, don't do that. If he really wants to do that, what would be smart for him to do
keep his
is
job.
For him, keep his job
and work on it.
Yes, and work on it, but also like if he has like an engineer's mind, like video engineers are something that are like probably needed. Like people who like understand video signals and this and that, like stuff that he could probably understand and like make himself valuable. Because I mean, that's the thing. Like we have people who are like have creative tools to do all this stuff like at their fingertips, but the amount of people that understand like frame rates and like interlacing and all this other stuff is like really, really low. And like that's the kind of people that are needed. So if people want to get into video, like they should be looking at like more of the technical aspects of it, not like, oh, I want to like edit films or something like that. Like,
yeah, can you just like we talked about earlier, like Windows Movie Maker was kind of like the tool that was accessible to everyone. Now you have an iPad, you can pay $5 a month and get access to Final Cut Pro.
Yep.
And I haven't used it on the iPad, and I understand there's differences between that and like the version on the Mac, and that's what I use. And I think you use Premiere, which most people use, but you can just, it's the pro level software is just at everyone's fingertips.
I mean, you can download like DaVinci Resolve is free.
Yeah. It's crazy.
You can pay money for like GPU acceleration, but you can get the base materials and stuff to like kind of understand how it works and stuff like for nothing. It's just a free download,
which is just mind blowing to someone who you're growing up and it's like Adobe costs hundreds of dollars just for 1 year's version of software, or Final Cut's $300, and now it's just all
right.
It's free, or it's this lowly subscription fee, and it's just and then kids are getting access to that sooner, and then they're on social media and they're seeing all this stuff, and then their apps give them the tools. It's crazy, just the rate at which people can learn to do crazy stuff. It's
I cannot imagine just going into this marketplace without any kind of prior experience. I'm like, people say like, oh, how do I get started in this? I'm like, there's like so many services. Just start making stuff and put it out there and hope that people see it. Yeah. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. That's all they're like, that is like the best advice is like, it's not always about like what it's like who and just like, that's what I did when I moved to New York and I was like taking these classes. I didn't know anybody there. And I was taking these post-production like training classes, but they were like, like 3 to 5 people. Like people that worked at like MTV and all this other stuff, like producers and stuff that are saying like, oh, feel like I need to get a better understanding of like Avid Media Composer or something. So I was in these classes with these people, and, you know, you're in there for like 2-3 days straight, you know, like learning this stuff. And you're also like networking with these people.
Yeah.
Because this person's like, oh, you know, like I'm a producer at MTV, like I'm working on this and this show. And then, you know, like they take your information or whatever, like when you're leaving, it's like, oh, it was good, like, you know, doing this, like learning this stuff with you, and or like being in this class with you and just like talking with you. Then a couple of weeks later, it's like, oh, we need somebody to work overnight on this show. You know, do you want to come in here and like load in footage? You were recommended by so-and-so that I met. So, I mean, that's just like, you just got to do it.
That
you know?
is,
it's just like,
it is really the people. It's those two things. It's do the thing and the people you know. And I think one thing that I've always struggled with is I'll watch videos from people that inspire me or captivate my attention, like you guys. And then I sit down to make something. I'm like, well, I'm nowhere near as good as these people. So it's like, why even? Then you face the question of why even try? Because, you know, 10 people are going to watch this video, and I'm not nearly as good. But that's the lie that you cannot buy into, because you guys didn't start out this good. You've learned, you've grown, you've over and over and over, and you've shot different documentaries, you've shot different RGB, you know, 101, 201, 301 videos and things like that. And you've built up skills and a repertoire, and the people that you knew back in RGB 100 compared to the people that you know today, the access just to pure resources is crazy. When you have a question, you could reach out to a John Lenneman or a Bob or Mike Chi and actually get like the answer, right? And then figure out how to break that down. It's so cool.
And that's like, I mean, that's
hard work, but it's also the people you know.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's why I always say, like, we were so lucky to have been doing what we were doing, like to have released that video at that time, because that's like got us noticed, because we were doing something that nobody had really done yet. Like there was there was channels like doing certain things like that. But it was like, you know, like Phone Dork was doing like really great videos on CRTs and stuff, like before we were anybody. But I mean, it's just like the way that we were just able to make this like a complicated process or, you know, subject, you know, like dumbed down to the point where we understand it, and then we could like explain it to other people in a similarly dumbed down way, but people could elaborate more into it if they wanted to. And I mean, as time has gone on, like our dumbed downness has like become significantly less dumbed down, because I think that people can go back and they can see that evolution now, and they learn like more like a college course. Like you learn more complicated subjects over the course of those early videos or early classes that you can incorporate into later ones.
Yeah, it all builds. And so people need to go out and make the thing. They just need to keep making things.
Yeah. And that's a really discouraging thing. Like, I mean, as I said way at the beginning, like I don't even if trying to, and I did this without one or the other, I don't think that either one of us would be even here or doing any of this stuff. And it's weird, because I think about there's been several times where we have like suggested something in a video, and then somebody says, "Oh, that's a good idea," and then like makes it. And I wonder like what wouldn't exist if we didn't.
You recently put up a video about the PS2 Slim power supply that like is the magical what I couldn't follow the exact line, so I don't know if like your video sparked, but I've seen some stuff that's like people are creating...
like Kaitor Industries was like making like a splitter box that you could like plug it into, and
is that based off of
absolutely.
That's crazy. And
it is, yeah. I mean, like that still continues to blow my mind. And if there's something that doesn't exist that I wish it did exist, I will always say like, oh, I wonder if I should like mention this in a video, because
mention it.
just mention it, because you never know when someone's like, oh yeah, I could do that, and then like make it, like it just exists, or like a feature of something, it just, you never know, and it's like weird, like having the like the presence, I guess, to inspire people to like make that thing.
And
it's just like, I mean, it still like blows my mind, because it's like, when you're just like making these videos like in your basement, it's hard to see like that, the people watching, it almost doesn't seem real, because you're not like, and we get that a lot when we go to a convention. It's like, oh, it's so nice to like see people in person, like telling you like, oh, I like this thing that you did, and it like inspired me to do this. And it's like completely different, like when you're like face to face, or like seeing it like, and like hearing it from like, a real person that's in front of you, like comments are one thing, but it's just like somebody's typing those comments out, but it's still just, disembodied text, for better or worse,
hidden behind a profile picture. And the other side of that coin is also the negative stuff that people say all the time too. But
we've been very, very lucky in that we have not gotten a lot of that kind of stuff.
That's good.
I one thing I like try is very good at responding to comments and like kind of killing them with kindness. I think
he would be the guy to do it.
He will go out of his way to like write like long explanations of certain things, and more times than not, people are saying like, "I'm sorry that I was really hard on you about this and everything," and
good.
Like he'll go back to like old videos and stuff a lot. He'll just like look at the recent comments and he'll respond to stuff like very elaborately, and that's this kind of thing that comes out of like being as good of a writer as he is, and like also like as detailed of a writer as he is, so he can get into this stuff. And with me, I'm just like, I don't respond to comments that often unless it's something that I can sum up in a couple of sentences, or like 3 to 5 sentences, I guess. But I mean, so he like handles a lot of that, but I handle like a lot of the, I don't know, like the, for some reason my mind is like saying like the HR stuff. Like and I'll also like reach out to like people like, oh, we want to do a video on this, or what, or I don't know. Like I respond to, I
business.
handle a lot of that stuff. Like very much so. I mean, like I handle like the business side of stuff.
Public facing and business, 2 different halves. And I think that is one of, if not the most beautiful part of my life in gaming, is how the two of you fit so well together, and you come together to create a show that it has greatly enhanced my life and given me a lot of enjoyment, and I think is a real boon to the community of educating people and informing people and shedding the light on some really cool stuff. I mean, you guys really have brought a lot of awareness to things, and that's so great and powerful. And I thank you to me for the last 10 years. And I'm looking forward to, the next 10 or however long you guys want to keep doing this show.
It's, like it's kind of surreal, like watching some of those early videos. It's like, oh man, you can like see me like age basically in real time, but also like gain a bunch of weight, lose a bunch of weight, slowly gain a bunch of weight, maybe evening off.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe I don't know if you think about it like this, but I think about it with my daughter. It's like this is like a weird archive of like she'll be able to go back if she's interested and see what I was talking about when I was her age at a certain point.
Yes.
And for you, I mean, the last, say, 8 years, because you guys weren't really on camera all that much the first year necessarily, but like the last 8 years of you are archived in some way publicly, should they be interested to see what Dad was up to in 2014.
Yeah. Or like, if I died or something like that, it's like, oh, now I can, it's like a way to
They can sell off your copy of Snatcher that you just bought for $1,000.
Exactly. I mean, that's something. Like I mean, I don't know if they'll be excited for any of this stuff, so I'm sure that they might sell it off this first opportunity they have, and you know what? That's okay. I'd rather just like go to somebody who appreciates it, I guess.
Yeah. That's what I say. This is Eloise's inheritance, whether she likes it or not.
if it maintains its value, I guess. We'll see.
I'm assuming it will. given the way some things have been going, I imagine it only will keep going up. Eventually, Wii Sports is going to be like a rare game. Somehow.
It already sells for more than you would expect, I think.
That's stupid. It came with every single Wii. It should not be hard to find.
Believe it or not. Yeah.
Well, I think that does it for this episode. So thank you so much, Coury, for joining me today, taking time out of your day to do this show. I mean, people can find you at My Life in Gaming on YouTube, on Twitter. You're the one behind the Twitter account primarily, right?
Most of the time. I mean, sometimes since Twitter got rid of the ability to use third-party apps, I don't use it nearly as much.
Yep.
I mean, I find myself like posting on Instagram more than I did before. So, I mean, if people want to check out Instagram, but we also, I created a Blue Sky account. I think I posted like 3 things on it. I don't know, like we don't have a super strong social, presence like right now. So, I mean, because Try doesn't like have any social stuff. He just he never had Facebook or anything.
Good for him.
Like for Facebook, like I have a Facebook, but I keep it to the people like I know for real.
Yeah.
And just kind of do that. But I mean, I don't know. I'll occasionally post things on Twitter, formerly or X, formerly known as Twitter.
It's a disaster.
But it's a complete disaster. But I mean, if people can find me on there, and I also do a podcast with Chris from Classic Gaming Quarterly called "Here's My Question for You," and really, it's a podcast about nothing. It's
Seinfeld.
It's
a Seinfeld of podcasts.
I in a way, yeah. I mean, every episode is formatted where it's just like, it could be 20 minutes into the episode before we do like an intro. It's like it is literally like dropping into a conversation. It's like,
there's some shows I listen to that do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Where you're just like getting dropped in the conversation, and we have like different topics, but it's never focused on anything. And, like Chris is, he's like 2 years older than me. So it's very rarely about video games. I mean, we have, we talk about more, like old man type stuff, I think sometimes, but also like music and stuff that we're both into. Like, in an upcoming episode, we're gonna rank every song on Radiohead's OK Computer, stuff like that. Just stuff, I guess it gives you like a different side to me. But it's also like Chris and I just get along really well, and we would just like find ourselves like doing streams together sometimes, but just kind of meandering off into different subjects. People are like, oh man, it's like hanging out with you guys, like watching this stream. You guys should do a podcast. So we just did it. And I think right now we're planning on doing 100 episodes and then calling it.
Okay.
But we'll see.
All right.
I mean,
and where are you at now? You're in the 30s?
Oh, we're 44. 44 just came out today.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, there will be a link to that and My Life in Gaming in the show notes. Patreon for My Life in Gaming as well. You guys do those Sunday night streams. It's 8:00 Eastern, right?
Right. 8 to 11. It used to be. It's funny because we recently YouTube added this ability to put all of your live streams like under a live tab on the front page.
You chip away at that. That's a big back catalog.
Yeah. Although, I think that it's annoying for some people because that stuff gets put onto the algorithm when you move them over there, and that's why people have probably been getting suggested like, oh, watch this next. But it's I just wanted to do it so I could have them all in one place. It's just
That's good.
The growing pains are kind of obnoxious.
Yeah, you'll
go
get
along
there.
with that.
You'll get there eventually.
I got 130 left. 130 left to make public out of 420, I think.
That's really good progress then. Holy smokes, that's fast. Good job.
Well, like doing 20 to 50 a week is what's been happening. But they're all time coded now. I just have to release them. But since we just released a new video today, I'm going to not do that for a little while.
Gotcha.
Cool.
So, neat.
But yeah, thanks for having me on. It was fun just kind of recounting the early days of the channel.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. As for myself, you can find my writing over at maxfrequency.net and my other show, Chapter Select, the seasonal podcast where we bounce back and forth between a series exploring its evolution, design, and legacy. Season 6 is going on right now, and it's all about Pokemon. I think as of this recording, the next episode will be about X and Y. We're getting ready to record X and Y. The next one coming out will be Sword and Shield. So you can look forward to that. And we have Super Chapter Select, which is just $2.50 a month or $20 a year. And you get longer episodes, exclusives, and bonus videos like all our Pokemon battles throughout each and every mainline game. That's been really fun. So you can head over to chapterselect.com to learn more about that and check out the show. But until next time, adios.